Right, welcome back. It's time for the top 14 team of the season. Um, yeah, always fun. Usually manage to shoehorn in sort of 11 players that no one else had thought of. But I feel like this year, I actually quite enjoyed putting it together. I feel like there's so many options, given the competitiveness, particularly at the top of the league. And yeah, nothing, I don't feel like anything too wildly controversial on my list so far, but I haven't seen what you've pulled together, so that might not be the case.
I, do you know what? I'm almost the exact opposite. I feel I found it relatively frustrating because there were kind of enough options of all the same standard that, like, I think if you ask me my top five players of the season, easy. But some of them probably play the same position as each other, and it's just like that I feel relatively unsatisfied with my selections. I think we will probably end up shoehorning in 11 players or so that no one else has thought. I don't think our top 14 team of the season is going to look like anybody else's. I think mine would be, like when the papers do it or whatever, and they publish it, and most people have got kind of 70 to 80% of the same people, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, I agree with that one, agree with that one. I feel like mine is I'm possibly in my own head about it because I've
Right.
gone. We tend to try and stick to some sort of criteria, and just the main one being games played. Just it's such a long season, you can get done by recency bias or you know uh, big finals and stuff like that. And so I try and always stay away from players that haven't played that many games, and that has really thrown me.
Yeah, yeah, I think there were maybe a couple. I don't know if we probably should have worked out our criteria and games, but I think anything under what
Half.
two-thirds, half, something like that. I
If
don't
you're
think
under half,
anything.
I think if you're under half, you're an automatic no, which is
Yeah, I think
basically
that's fair.
why that year that the year that Toulouse demolished Bordeaux in the final, I think the official one ended up with about 13 Toulouse players, and we ended up with zero because barely
Yeah,
any of them played.
yeah.
Um, Although it is particularly egregious when I think that season Blair Kinghorn was fullback and he'd played 6 games or something.
Yeah,
Um, the one thing I would say about this year, kind of on that basis, is the Bordeaux, well, Toulouse players certainly, but the Bordeaux players as well, because some of these guys, like there's an argument that some of these guys have been the best in the league, but they've played roughly half the games, maybe a little bit more. It's just that the games they played, they were phenomenal, but they've ultimately finished eighth, and they weren't. They lost a lot of games, and there are guys that have been more consistent and played more games and kind of put in bigger shifts across the season. It's kind of where do you land on five exceptional performances versus 20 good ones, sort of thing. And there's a
yeah.
bit of that with the Toulouse guys as well, obviously, because partly because so many of them are unavailable for selection for top 14 selection for large chunks of the year.
Yeah.
Um, how do you want to do it? Should we kind of do our? We can kind of argue the what's and wherefores and all that on the position basis. We tend to go who are the definites. Should we do that? I think I've got three or four.
I've got, oh, 1 second. Nearly had a technical issue number 50 this week as my laptop ran out of battery. Um,
I've got three that are, in my opinion, undeniable, and I've got probably a couple where there's a standout candidate, but there's a debate to be had.
I think for me, there are two undeniables and oh, yeah, I think all the others, there are a couple that I think we'll probably have agreed on that were the best player in their
Yeah,
position, but you
yeah,
could make very strong cases for
for
others.
other people, yeah. So my undeniables are 6, 12, and left wing.
I thought that might be them. Yeah, I've got left wing six, and for 12, I think we've probably got the
Fuck off.
same guy. But I think you could make strong cases for Noah Nene, Santiago Chocobares, August
Avant
Caddo,
Gorge,
Calvin Gorge, but I do also
Tuasova.
have Fabian Broberry in that
Yeah,
position.
nice. Good.
Um,
Glad we didn't fall out on that one. I am wearing my Poe hat and my Poe t-shirt, partly to kind of stand my corner to defend my lads,
oh
but
God, here
also
we go.
the top four, not the top 14. Tour de France finished in Poe last night, and it starts
Ah,
in Poe today.
what do they
It's
call it? Like it's the
capital of the tour.
capital of the tour.
Yeah. Okay. And then six.
Jack Willis.
Oh no, I haven't. He's not in my team.
Oh, give over.
I've got my six. My inarguable six is Lenny Nucci.
Oh, I've got Nucci six and seven. Sorry, six and seven. Willis and Lenny Nucci
We'll
in my
come on to
back row.
back row, but it's quite hard to balance it because a lot of teams balance it differently. And then left wing, Nicole.
Yeah, yeah, undeniable.
I've got strong candidates at hooker, loosehead prop, scrum half, and probably fly half.
Okay, I think. Gosh, should we go one by one through
Have
those?
you got any other positions where you think there's a real standout?
Uh, oh, have
Because
I?
I think I know who you've picked at eight, but there is a serious debate to be had at eight.
Yeah, agreed. So I think that's a tricky one. I think
And loosehead lock is the
nine.
similar one. There are two standouts, and it's yeah. I think you can probably
Yeah,
work out which side of the or the dice
nine,
I land on.
10. Uh, I just thought tight heads. I think that is this real standout.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, go on. Do you want to go with your front row, and then we
Yeah,
can pick out who we think is the
my front row. So I should say it could have been an all Montpellier front row, but both of the leading tight head, Wilfred Hungpetan, banned for me. Yeah, unselectable. And Awas didn't play enough games anyway, despite also being unselectable. I've got Adosio, Ulisse, and then I have gone with Paul Allo Emile at tight head.
nice. I've gone with also Baptiste Docio, also Uelese, and I've gone with Georgie Melikidze.
Ah, okay. So I had Georgie Melakidze on my bench. So and Richard, now people we try and do it so that you can listen to this podcast wherever you are, if you're driving, walking, etc. We're leading the stand against these video podcasts, which seem to be blighting us. Podcasts you should be able to do it while you're doing the gardening or the washing up or driving. Um, I've been doing a lot of driving this week. I tend to listen to music, but I know people I wouldn't advise a video podcast while you're driving, for example. I should say that on YouTube, if you're watching on this on YouTube, you will hopefully now see lots of fun stats that divvy up kind of starts, games, minutes. That's a new one in there because I think that's particularly useful for tight five forwards, and kind of other stats and notes. And Melakidze and Paul Allo Emile have both played 26 games. Paul Allo Emile started 14. Melakidze started for 13. Uh, by the looks of our stats, Paul Allo Emile played 6 more minutes. But Melakidze did have 8 tries. I think the thing that edged it for me was that he started the knockout. He started the barrage game and he started the semi-final. And I think he started like other big games like the Paris Derby at home, the Classico at home. But I did really like Melakidze.
Yeah, the reason I went for Melikidze, basically my criteria is we're probably in the same place, was that the front row had to come from Montpellier and Stade Francais.
Pretty
And
much, yeah.
yeah, some of the if some of those guys from Montpellier are unselectable for France, they should probably be unselectable for us as well. Um, so yeah, the Melikidze thing, it was a little bit of a coin toss, But I also felt, and it is recency bias, his stock rose by his absence in that semi-final, and I
Yeah.
think his importance against that Montpellier scrum was, yeah, it was really felt. So that was why I landed on him.
I think we had Paul Allo-Emile at the halfway stage, didn't we? Did we end up with him? No, we ended up with Client. Okay. Okay, we didn't have Allo-Emile. Oh, we had Moses Allo-Emile, sorry, on the loose head side. Yeah. So Melakidze, like it. Um,
Decent front row that.
that is a very decent front row. Do you want to do bench while we're there, or go second?
Yeah. So I think the only other tight head, well, I say the only
Or should we
other,
just do Allo-Emile?
Aloe Emil, fine. Yeah, I thought honourable mention to Joel Merkler, Tom
I
Leclerc.
bet he didn't play that many games.
But I think he played half. I think it's exactly half in the top 14.
Yeah, well, 12 starts, 17 games for Merkler. 752 minutes is not a lot. So Leclerc played a lot. Carly Sardi, I completely forgot about, and he actually played. He actually had a really good season. Um, but I think we might as well just go Aloe
Yeah,
Emile.
agreed. I'm very happy with that.
I want to make a case for Guram Gogicashvili on at Loosehead, partly because he plays a little bit of both sides, I think. But I wanted both him and Karyashvili in there as well because that Racing 92 scrum was completely different when they both played. So certainly the game that I saw, the Paris Derby, those guys started up against, the might of that Stade Francais pack, and they were just their scrum was a completely different prospect when those played. Karashvili didn't actually like started half the games, not that many minutes, whereas Gogachashvili played a load of minutes. In fact, of everyone in this list that I'm looking at, he played more minutes than any other prop that we've got. And seventh for tackles made in the whole league
Not bad going, is
and
it?
missed one top 14 game. I think that's got to count for something. Have you got
Yeah.
any other strong cases at Loosehead?
The other Aloe Emil.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like Gokashvili. I think yeah, in a team as well that despite where they finished, kind of had a few early season struggles and the scrum did waver a little bit of points. Yeah, I like that one.
I like Akaladze at Claremont. I was really
Claremont.
surprised by how little game time a lot of the Toulouse front row had in the top 14. Like Nettie and I knew barely played. I was like, who the hell was playing then? Um, but yeah, okay, right. And then hooker, reserve hooker. Who have you got?
I had uh, well, it was kind of for me a toss up between two. I had Giacomo Nicotera, Stade Francais, and Julian Montoya of Po, but I went with Nicotera.
I don't think Montoya has been that great this season, which,
Okay.
given he is ex Leicester, plays for Poe as captain both sides, and I think he's in top five players I'd like to have a beer with. Um, I think he has underwhelmed with his throwing. I went for Barnaby Massa
Who you
because the
bring good
Claremont
off the bench the
scrum,
other day.
yeah, Claremont scrum and line out has gone pretty well. He's got a lot more game time. I mean, tries for hookers is always a bit of a dubious one, isn't it? But I think he's got his fair share. Lucas Martin has 11 tries, which is absolutely madness. Um, he's kind of that's like puts him like fifth or something in the scoring, and he's barely played like 11 tries in 952 minutes. But you've got to be really good if you're in Bayonne, Lyon, cast Toulon. You've got to have had a seriously seriously good season to be in there. I did consider Yannick Tarrant. I don't know whether it's like plus or minus for the one of the all-time great red cards,
Flying headbutt.
the headbutt. I'm happy with Nicotera, but
Let's go Massa. I
Massa to
feel,
change it
yeah,
up to get so it's not
always
just
liked from his Grenoble days, right? So,
yeah.
yeah,
He also started more games than most of these guys, which I think kind of counts for something. Although Nicotera would have played top four. Six Nations and internationals with me. Cool. Right, I'm happy with that.
We're looking good.
Second row.
So second row, I
I think the loose head lock. I think I was going to try and come into this and argue for the two standout locks, but I think given in the top 14 the kind of necessity to have a loose headlock and a tight headlock, and the importance placed on the tight headlock being an absolute lump and just sheer man mountain. If you picked the two best locks, you'd be too lightweight. They also neither of them played in the five jersey at all, I don't think. So, and those two that I've got are Hugo Ordu and Florian Verhaag.
yeah. And who did
Which
you have at?
ironically, one has started for France last weekend and one is due to start for France this weekend.
Yeah, who did you have at tight head?
Uh, do you know what? I don't think I. Oh, I went for Thomas Sate.
Okay.
It's
So
it's Tyler Diggy has a strong argument, but I just love Thomas Sate. I just love. I think there's just more X factor to him than, and I want my. This is a team of the season. You can argue you go for consistency. Someone like Tyler Diggy. There's also an argument that you go for the bloke that's done more standout things and done cool things, and he's ninth for offloads in the whole league, which is cool.
that's very cool. Yeah, so I had
Hog is third for offloads, by the way.
yeah, crazy. I had yeah, Verhaag with Oradu off the bench, but I think you could it's a bit of a coin toss over the two of them. And then I've sort of been done a little bit by our team at halfway, where I think we had Boris Parlew at five, who I think was one of the standout locks,
Yeah,
both in the top 14. I think he played 3 games at least with five on his
yeah,
back,
he barely played at five.
but he's more size wise. He's not a Meafu or Giard or Staniforth, but he's slightly less rangy than Verhaag and Oradi. So I think you could make a compelling case for him to be at five. But I think whichever of the Oradu Verhaag is on the bench as the other second row, right? Because they were the two standout performers.
I think, I mean, the Hog got a red. That counts against him. But I think in my heart of hearts, I think I know that it probably should be the Hog. I just I'm sure he does a lot of the things that I would argue Oradu does so exceptionally well. But I just haven't seen as many Montpellier games, and I probably don't pay attention. I don't have that confirmation bias that I have with Oradu, but I just see all of his work rate, and I think he's so kind of like with Gogashashvili. Like, there's an element of like if a player is so key to their side,
Yeah.
that makes them like gives them a better argument. And you could like the Hog was more interchangeable with Adam Beard or whoever else they wanted to put in there than Oradu was with Jolmes. And actually Jolmes played pretty well this year. But yeah, I'd say Oradu was just so key and did so much around the park. But I probably know that in my heart of hearts it should be Verhaag. Because
But
even in the final he was really good and stuff like that. So, and he was brilliant in the semi final.
yeah.
And
All
then who are we
right.
going tight headlock? Who do we go for?
Oh, it's
Because
so
I
tricky.
my instinct was this is where like going into the stats like kills you because my instinct was Parley or
Yeah.
Doogie, and then it's kind of like actually Sate is an absolute baller.
Well, if we're a little bit kind of torn between you were very happy on Thomas Sate, so let's go with him.
Okay, cool, nice.
Very
Bit of
happy with
niggle as
that.
well.
Yeah. 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 With Tarrant not making it, need to make sure the niggle factor is fairly high. Okay, back row. Always millions and millions. I think we've both agreed on Lenny Nucci,
Oh,
right?
sorry, just on secondary, can I just say the player that I thought it should be, and I thought he had played way more than he actually has, is Manny Miafu.
Yes, yeah, he's
And there's an
he's
argument to say that, I mean, I think it's what, 12, but it's 12 starts in 13 games. So that's less than half of Toulouse's games. And he's played basically half the amount of minutes of Sate almost. It's just
Yeah.
it's tough to argue. But I think
We've got
if
our
you
rules there for a
yeah,
reason, and I
yeah,
think it's fair.
he's on the cusp. Like had he played like one more game, one more full game, I think he probably would have made. I could have had him in.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, back row.
back row. So I think eight, there are so many like genuinely outstanding candidates. We both landed on Lenny Nucci, right? As I think we did last year, who's
Do you know
been
what, Richard?
magnificent.
If he makes it, Lenny
Mm.
Nucci is, I think, will probably end up being the only player that has made every season of our top 14 team of the season.
Now
Three in a row.
there's an honour.
Yeah.
There's a proper accolade to
Forget his
have.
Six Nations title that he won. He'll be buzzing about that.
I'd have thought so, yeah. Um, so I think so
Balance is the one
eight.
for back row, right? So most French teams go for like basically a lock in one of the flanking berths, don't they? Whereas us being Rosbeefs and Brits, we would go for a work rate man at 6, a jackler at 7, and a big ball carrier at 8. Whereas a lot of top 14 teams do it differently. If you are going for balance and you want that second or auxiliary lock type player in the 7, they tend to wear 7 in France. They would play 6, obviously, like a Chesham or something like that in England. That has to be Cameron Woki. But I don't know how you want to balance it.
I well
I
for
actually had a
me,
different Jackler as my open side to Jack
I
Lewis.
personally think I think Willis is beyond the shoe-in. I think he's the best player in the league. I think he was the best player in the final. He
Semi
does
final.
he and the semi-final, and it's the fact as well. We keep having to discount to lose players because they haven't quite played the minutes. He's having to, yeah, he's the cold Sunday night at, well, I don't think that Montauban
Stade
hosted
Ernest Vallon, maybe,
too
yeah.
many, yeah, at a beautifully prepared Stade Ernest Vallon. I personally think I get what you're saying on the balance, and I mean Woki has been incredible as well all season. But yeah, for me, Nucci Willis were Nucci not as much of a shoe in, but Willis for me is just a given.
I had Bottier at 7, but I'm more than happy to go for Willis. Bottier only
Nice.
missed like 2 games, 1 game, which is
Yeah, and
mad given for a guy that's had an injury record like he has over the last couple of years.
he was also back to that sort of like comedy
Level, yeah.
jackling brilliance, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
yeah, he was fantastic. At eight, I think.
Any other shout outs before we move on?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. I thought a couple of some of the Poe back row were brilliant all
Segur and
year.
Credos,
Zagur,
yeah.
Credos, yeah, were fantastic all
I've got
season.
I've got a couple of shout outs just from I thought Antim Hemery was really good, but he actually didn't play as much as I thought at Claremont. Uh Shout out for Reece Hewitt, who was absolutely flying before his horrible Achilles injury, and also played 2 games at centre, which is quite flair. Maxime Baudon, as far as I'm aware, is the only player to have played in every single one of their club's top 14 games, um, which is pretty impressive.
I think the Leeds leading tackler as well, just for a
Yes,
which
yes.
is always
But the other shout out I want to make on that. So Maxime Baudon played 28 games for Racing 92 in 1,886 minutes and made 294 tackles. The second most tackles on 286, so 8 tackles fewer on 949 minutes, so almost exactly half the minutes. Jamie Ritchie, fair fucks to Jamie Ritchie.
no wonder he's going. No wonder he's leaving. He's like, I
Yeah.
can't be making 31 tackles every week. Like, yeah, crazy. I think Johnny Gray's stats are up there for Perpignan as well. Like even in joining for half a season, it just yeah, the when you're just getting fired upon by your oppositions, yeah, it's
I feel
quite incredible that.
I really like that stat and like the that comparison because I've always loved Jamie Ritchie and just to see some evidence that this guy is an absolute hero there you go.
Yeah,
Like his jackling, his turnovers is up. I think he's seventh or something like that. Which again, like the minutes he played, fair play.
remarkable.
In the
Yeah,
in the in the, I wonder what a kind of, if you've played, you can't have played like more than a certain amount. If you set an upper limit on like what you could, if you had like a maximum 15 games across the whole season, he'd be a real candidate. It'd basically be Toulouse and Bordeaux and then him.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Quite incredible.
Go on then, eight. You want to
So
get into it?
well, I think eight. There are so many genuine, like incredible contenders. Um, so
Who are your contenders?
I think Aldrit, Tanga, Simmons, Vunipola. I probably stopped there, but I think you could
Hughes.
also. Nathan Hughes was fantastic. When he played Gorgadza for Poe, the bits I saw, I thought was outstanding as well.
Solakula
Sorokula was
had some
was
unbelievable
fantastic.
games.
Did you see his beard in the?
No.
He's got like a full grey, like coiffed beard and that kind of red hair. He looked amazing in Cardiff on Saturday. For me, I had a bit of a coin toss between Aldrit back in the season, remarkable, but I think he did was, as we said a few times, looked a bit leggy while La Rochelle was struggling, so that kind of ruled him out for me.
Him being dropped at for the Six Nations, like at the halfway stage, that was valid. His second half of the season, since getting dropped, he has been in brilliant form.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
yes,
he's
I agree.
been magnificent. Um,
I think in
Tang,
another season, the two Parisian number eights could have easily gone in.
yeah, yeah, agreed.
Tanga was part of the big, like, because Stade Francais were rubbish last year, right? And he is one of the big money players, and he was one of a handful of Stade Francais players who really drove that immediate uptick in form at the start of the season. Um, and for him to be playing and then keeping someone like Macalou out the side, hell of a season. And I think Hughes surprised us all, really, didn't he?
Remarkable. Yeah, it looked like a really
Mad stats as
strange
well.
signing. Um, So yeah, for me, it's between Billy and Sam Simmons. I'm kind of interested your view. I mean, I'm incredibly one-eyed about Simmons. I always felt he never, being an Exeter fan, never quite got the international plaudits he deserved. But the statistics, which aren't everything, are like utterly remarkable. So fourth most meters made in the entire league, most of any forward. I think he's just behind Niniashvili, Tom Banks, and another fullback, which is remarkable. Eighth most tackles in the league, second most kind of broken tackles of any forward, and also became Leon's captain in his first season, and not behind the thing that always used to really rile me was, oh, needs a massive dominant pack in front of him. I don't think you'd say Leon are the dominant force and puts him and Wine and Colo's performances into an incredible light. But I was probably just erring for impact, and maybe a little bit of recency bias towards Billy Vunipola, who was kind of the adjoining piece with Simmons on the bench.
I'm absolutely staggered. Well done for putting your personal bias to one side. Um, you're much better at that than I am. I My instinct was Vunipola, but looking at the stats, I felt I was like, well, Richard's going to go for Simmons, and I, looking at the stats, I think it should be Simmons. So on the meters made, so the good point was made on kind of, we're on a group with the All Things Rugby kind of writers. Good point. There's on in the Origin yesterday, State of Origin, they had stats for meters carried and return kicking meters. So like basically like ball in hand meters in general play being split out from like running back kicks, because obviously like
Yeah, nice.
meters gained is a pointless stat for quite a lot of these, because it is like, especially if you've got a team that are pinning teams back like Montpellier, and then like Tom Banks has 30 meters to run into every time he fields the ball, and he's playing 25 games a season. He's obviously going to be top of the meters gained. So these two guys, Vunipola and Simmons, were the only two forwards in the top 10, which counts as something. And there were only, I think there was a couple of others that weren't kind of fullbacks or have like back three players. I think one of them was Jalabert actually, but he would have done a lot of kick return as well. You'd imagine. Vunipola was sixth. I think the Simmons. It's tough because Vunipola also ended up captaining Montpellier for bits of it. Well, Nucci was the captain in the final, right? Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah,
Um, and there's an argument that because Montpellier was so dominant and the way that he dovetailed with Nucci was fantastic, I actually think we should go with Sam Simmons
fine by me. There was also part
because
of
some of those
me,
stats are freakish.
yeah, yeah, in a team that did struggle, yeah, a little bit at times as well.
And
I
also,
think
Billy got 4 yellow cards.
fair.
That was
Amazing.
one of the clinchers. I was like, that's is I think that's joint most like cards.
Yeah,
Like there's,
that's
I don't
good.
think he's not got a red, but it's him
Good
and
going.
Tursova have got a lot, have received a lot of cards.
There was part of me that was like, could we manufacture the great English back row that never was of Willis, Simmons, and Billy at eight? But I feel that would be tough on Lenny Nucci.
I also think Simmons only, I think he played, it was
Played a
like all
couple of
but
games at
2 games.
seven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's go with that, and maybe Billy to interchange off the bench, which is
Well, that's the, is it Billy or is it Cameron Woki? Or are we going 6-2?
let's get to that in a bit. We've got some discussions to make.
Because
Uh,
I think Woki had an amazing season in the top
yeah, he
14 as
did.
well. And he played loads of top 14 games.
Oh,
And he
that's
was really cool to watch.
interesting. Okay.
Right. Anyway, we'll
I'm
get to it.
feeling a bit of 6-2, but all right, okay, let's get to that in a sec. Your 9-10, Le Charnier, is that the
Yeah,
term? The
yeah, the
ax
hinge.
the hinge, the axis. Who have you got? I think we
I
might be
think
in agreement on
I
this.
think there's two standout candidates in each. Well, one in each position. I've got Legaric and Harry Plummer.
Same. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Plummer,
Um,
what a season.
yeah, I was so skeptical about that, like Claremont signings and him being like, well, yeah, the fact they'd signed like a Pro de youngster who can't get in his team as a on loan is like, ooh, do they really back this fly half that they've got from New Zealand? But yeah, top of the point, like second minutes played, fifth for defenders beaten, top point scorer, only missed one game. Um, yeah, it's actually kick success was lower than I thought, but second most attempts at goal.
And played some
Like,
amazing
and just
attacking
generally
rugby
play,
as
yeah,
well.
like proper like swashbuckling, come in behind me sort of performances at times for Claremont. Just a standout season, and I would have him as the favourite. We'll be doing our end of season awards in a few weeks, but without giving the game away, he would be. I think he's probably the favourite for the one in the Lenuida Rugby Awards. I'd imagine like the public and the top 14 votes will go to him for
Yeah,
Player of the Season.
amazing season. Maybe more of a shoe in than than we gave credit for at the top.
Well, I
But there
think
have been some brilliant performances from 10 all year, right?
at the halfway stage we didn't have him
Yeah,
because Jalabert was
Jalabert was
just an
being
absolute freak show in the first half of the season. He obviously played fewer top 14 games second half season, but he was just an absolute freak show. And in the end, I just don't think Jalabert quite played enough
yeah.
compared to Carbonell, Miotti. I was really worried you were going to come and argue a case for Miotti, and I just don't
No,
like him.
no, Plumber by a bit, and then some guys in behind.
And Legarec, brilliant. He had a period where he was injured, but Legarec, start of the season and the end of the season, just one man team vibes at times. I think his goal kicking, bit like Luku, like you don't quite realise how what his like how good his stats are. Like 85.9 is really serious in terms of percentages, which is actually seventh in the league. But I think he's taking so many kicks at goal. Second, also joint second for tries. 13 tries in 20 games is not bad. It's not quite Baptiste Couillou from previous seasons, but yeah,
Yeah, fantastic.
serious season.
Little
At halfway stage, we had Tuara Kerbalo, and I would put him possibly on my bench because I think again, like him and Carbonell, the way they, like I said with Tanga, the way they transformed Stefan's fortunes. Certainly, the kind of immediate uptick at the start of the season. I also love him.
Yeah, I think as an 8, 9, 10 from a single club, you could make a, well, Claremont certainly, but you can make a case for Tanga, Carballo, and Carbonell, who had a brilliant season as well after everything that happened last year. Um, okay,
Any other
nice.
candidates at nine? Paul Grau,
Well, I've got another guy on the bench who I think hit the number of games, so I thought was incredible. Yeah, he did hit the number of games. Baptiste Jeannot for me
Jeannot, yeah,
was
was incredible. Yeah,
sublime.
I think it's a
Um,
real toss up for the kind of second in behind Legaric, isn't it? You could have Kerbalo, you could have Grau, you could have Jeannot. Carbonneau's form, I think Carbonneau at Racing was he played loads of games and it took him a while to get in, but he was really good towards the end of the season. Ali Price, excellent
Very good.
at Montpellier, but less spark than a lot of the others, I'd say.
Yeah.
But his game management was excellent.
Okay. Should
We'll
we go
come
into
to that because I
this?
think that's going to change our balance is going to be interesting on that one on the halfbacks with our 6-2 bench potentially.
So centres, Brobe Worry, I think we're very happy with. Yeah, incredible. 13 was interesting. I've gone for Vinaya Hambosi.
I have also gone for Vinaya Hambosi. Yeah,
Fantastic.
which that's just a hunch one. Like there's nothing particularly in the stats that like screams out. It was just like this guy feels like he's torn it up all season and been really consistent and been Racing's best and most threatening player. To be fair, he's been Racing's best Fijian, which is like
Some
basically
going.
the same as like best Racing's best player, but it's quite some going in that roll call of Fijians, and like there's a couple of other big name wingers that they brought in, like Ravatamander, and he's completely outplayed them. And he did play a lot at 13
Yeah,
and not on
yeah,
the
he
wing.
did.
And I think the switch from like switching out of Fiku at 13 to bring in Hambosi is arguably what transformed Racing's season from being another season of mediocrity to challenging for the getting to the semis. That was
He was
kind of all
so,
Hambosi.
yeah, you can call it recency bias, but he was so prominent in that kind of last 10 game run. He
Yeah,
was just outstanding every game he played in. Yeah, but happy with that. The only other guys I had kind of considered, Jeremy Ward was really good again at 13.
yeah,
I can't lie. I did have a little look at Vuate Karawalevu. Didn't play enough games, unfortunately, but in terms of pure impact, particularly at 13 in the games he did, was absolutely remarkable. Yeah, and then I also had who is for me in my 23 jersey was Calvin Gorge, but he
played
plays
at 12.
12 a lot,
Yeah.
13, 15 and 10, I think.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he did. I actually thought the main contender for Hambosi was gonna be Depoter, but he just didn't play enough games in the end because of that nasty injury in the Six Nations and stuff. He did, but first half of the season, I still think he is the best centre in the top. Like if I had to pick a centre in the top 14, actually no, I'd pick Brebary, wouldn't I? But as a centre, I think he's the best centre in France, and he was amazing. I also thought that Guyton was, and that is a little bit biased, but I was kind of like, is that me just being Poe, Poe and South London bias? Um, but no, I think he genuinely has been really, really, he has been one of the outstanding centres in the league for what the
Yeah.
fifth, sixth season in a row or whatever.
Maybe
Um,
arguably as well feels a little bit further down the order just because of how good some of the other Poe
yeah,
performances were as well. Like his excellence perhaps taken for granted a little bit,
yeah,
where he's
I think
stood out more in seasons where they've been a slightly more middling team.
that's exactly it. Like he doesn't jump out in that post side, but it's because we're so used to him now being just so good. Um, okay, nice.
Wanagolo, we're very happy with
Couple of other Fijians, lower, Dungivalu, Mangala, all like on their day
all
unplayable.
options.
Langivala you could chuck in there as well, but didn't. Took a while to get going because he had so many injuries start the season. But yeah, lower's impact at Claremont. What a player! A guy coming up from Predator.
Very good.
Wanakolo left wing, which was a real spanner in the works because I thought because he was right wing at halfway stage, but he's actually ended up playing more on the left wing. Um, so yeah, that was a real spanner in the works because I was lining up trying to work out who my left wing option was, and then I realised that I was like, I better check that he has actually played. Yeah, but 18 tries, like five more than the
Yeah.
next two.
And just continue. Like I think he probably is him, BLBRA, Colby, for me, probably the best wingers in the world at the moment.
Yeah,
He's just, I just he is like a proper. It's that quote. I can't remember who it was on Twitter last season for the biggest piss taker since Rupeni Tao, and I think
yeah.
that is
Wasn't that you?
no, it wasn't.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I would have loved that to be me. It's just what a player. On the right wing, who have you gone with?
I was hoping you would go first on this. In the end, I went with Teddy Thomas.
So did I.
I thought you might have done.
Yeah,
I really was very close to going Penny Dakawanga, and there is a strong argument, I would say, for Damian Peno
yeah, there is. I wonder if
and
he's played.
Gregoire Arfoy. But I think the other guys just all round game is better than Arfoy. There's still a little bit slightly madcap, slightly uneasy, slightly
Yeah,
seat of your pants type thing, and not always in a good way.
I think with
I think in he Arfoy could be a real contender for the La Revelation for the Nuida Rugby, depending on the kind of slightly made
yeah.
dubious criteria that they go with. But
I think with
um,
I know a lot of it was in the Champions Cup, but I think with his switch to 13 because of that depth tear injury, I didn't really consider Penaud, although he did have a really good season in spite of having been dropped by France.
Peno ended up on my bench in the 23 jersey, but we've got a bit more of a debate for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I've then got yeah, Dakawanga
I
amazing,
think,
but Toma
yeah,
for me, we spoke about him last week. Just he was so I just I didn't expect it with the wingers they've got, and obviously Capwatso was injured a lot, wasn't he? So he went in and just thought he looked like a complete winger for huge parts of the season. Massive part of their Toulouse's success through those periods where they don't have all their superstars. Yeah, fantastic. Although I know he's had it for a while. I do miss his amazing lid from yesteryear. The streamlined isn't for me.
I actually think I think he looks awesome with the full
Oh,
pick.
don't get me wrong.
He looks so good.
He pulls it off, but I
Yeah.
quite like the chaos of
Um. Well, when I thought I was having Wynikola on my right wing, I had LaBelle on my left wing. So it's kind of that we've got to have some Toulouse players in there. And again, like you said with Willis, the dirt trackers during the cold nights in
yeah,
winter, it was LaBelle and Thomas. So I think let's go Teddy Thomas.
fantastic. Um,
Fullback is really tough.
Tough, yeah.
And this is one where I had one that I was going to come in hard for. And I think the stats don't quite, I think there's not quite enough in the stats for me to make the
Okay,
case. But I was going to go for Melvin Jaminet.
okay. Interesting. I didn't really consider Jaminet, to be honest with you. I think maybe that's slightly
I just
given
thought
Toulon
he was
season.
the best player in that Toulon team when they were really bad.
Yeah.
So like when they were good, like Olivon and Serran and Mercer and these guys all played well, but Jaminet
I
was. I also thought Jaminet did some amazing things, and I'm also still loving the video that I saw of him taking a pot shot from his own 22 and getting it.
yeah, yeah, I
I'm
do
slightly
get that.
blinded by that, I think, but I don't think there's enough of a case for him compared to some of the. If you go, like you're the vibes man in this, Rich, and you would go if you went vibes, you could go for him, but the
Yeah,
stats
I
are
didn't.
the stats are too strong for the others.
I went for this was probably a bit more vibes. I went for Leo Barre, Stade Francais, who
That is
is
where I ended
vibes.
up.
Is it?
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
but it depends on where you land on own tries. Like,
I'm up for a bit of chaos. I'm up for a bit of own tryness.
I think the like any official team, I think it's probably going to end up with Banks, but I just think best ability there is availability. I don't think he's necessarily been that
As game
good.
breaking
No,
as like a Barre.
I hadn't quite realised how many tries Leo Barre had scored. Out all that he'd played, he'd missed one game, I think. He was like a late, yeah, he was a late dropout, wasn't he? For like, I think it was the Paris Derby or something like that. Yeah, played 26 games, which is phenomenal. So he's missed two then. But yeah, and 12 tries.
Yeah, I think they're also like he is for all his chaos and a bit of unpredictability. There are times he was their standout player, and he dragged Stade Francais through games as well at points, or inspired them through patches. I think he's amazing, and I feel like we are nudging towards a 6-2, and Barry quite a handy man to have for that.
Yeah,
Given he can play 10 and maybe 12 as well at a push as well.
yeah. Well, I said before, I think there's potential that his long-term position is as a kind of second playmaker at 12 because he's quite bulky. Um, I think you're also being blinded by when you paid that £6 for that
Oh, when he came,
Son's commentary stream, and he man of the match against Exeter at
I
10 or
think
something like that.
he was man of the match off the bench coming on
At
at
10,
10.
yeah,
Which was hilarious. And he was that game, it was full chaos. There was no it was just I'm gonna run everything from everywhere. It was yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, even beyond getting past a slightly ropey Exeter team in front of 11 people at Stade Jean with even fewer watching online. Yeah, performance of the season. Maybe that could be, maybe that's a
I've just
golden birth category, least watched man of the match performance of the season.
yeah, I like that. I've just thought like also just thinking of the other given one of the other right wing contenders was Damian Penaud. It speaks it's quite a chaotic back three when your most steady Eddie is Teddy Thomas.
Yeah, proper,
I think that's a real celebration of French rugby, isn't it? To have the amount of chaos in that back three.
100%. Right, so we just need
Right,
to
so
work out
bench
the
that's
bench.
fine then. That's great news for the bench because it means we can do 6-2 and we can go Woki and Vunipola.
Yeah,
So you've got Oradu, Woki, Vunipola. We need a 9 and Calvin Gorge.
yeah, for me, where do you want to go with 9? I had Jono, thought he was brilliant. I think it's between Jono and Kerr Barlow for me, slightly ahead of Grau.
I had
Um,
Kerbalo. Do we go Grau? That I know that we've done this before where you kind of in a team of the season you kind of both go for someone and you end up
with
for
someone
someone
else.
else. Yeah.
Grau, first call up,
He
played
has
an
been so
awful
good for
amount for,
Toulouse.
yeah. Yeah, I'm happy.
Given that we've got no other way of splitting Kerbalo and Junot and Grau. I think there has to be an element of Toulouse bias there.
All right, and I can also kind of lay my Paul Grau demons to rest. We can yeah, we can go with him here. I'm happy
Yeah,
with that.
yeah,
All
nice.
right.
So who's still got demons? Tom Banks from my end.
Yeah.
Domingo Miotti from my end.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, nice. So to run through that, then, God, this is going to test me. Front row of Baptiste Dossio and his Montpellier teammate Jordan Uelese, They were excellent at scrum and they were excellent at line out. We've gone Georgie Miller-Kidze as a starting tight head with his teammate Paul Allo-Emile interchangeable on the bench. Barnaby Massa as the reserve hooker, and Racing 92's key Georgian Guram Gogachashvili as the reserve loose head. The lock pairing is Montpellier standout line-out man Florian Verhaag and the big, the kind of stalwart grunt man of the top 14 that also has a bit of flair and angst of Thomas Sate alongside him, with a kind of like for like replacement of Oradu for Verhaag coming off the bench. The back row, we have Lenny Nucci at 6, Jack Willis at 7, the man of the match from the semi-final and the final, and then we've gone for Sam Simmons at number 8 because he was game breaking and just the vintage Sam Simmons that we know and love. And we've gone for the other former standout former England number 8 Billy Vunipola off the bench, and then Cameron Woki, who had a real resurgence, return to form as the other bench option on a 6-2. Guys that won kind of games single-handedly at the half-backs. Nolan Le Garrec, probably our goal kicker as well. Excellent just for La Rochelle all season. And Harry Plummer, arguably the standout player of the season across all teams for a brilliant debut season at Claremont. My favourite player in the top 14 all season this season, Fabien Brobery, the generational talent that's going to be taking over the Nations Championship at 12. And then Vinay Hambosi as our outside centre. His switch to 13 for Racing kind of turned their season around. Top try scorer, Juta Wainakolo with 18 on the left wing from Lyon. We've gone for Teddy Thomas, another man who's had a resurgence over the last few seasons, on the right wing at Toulouse, with a bit of chaos at fullback with Leo Barre, who has actually, just in pure stats, also had an excellent season and has at least one contender for own try of the season. And then our reserve backs on our 6-2 bench are beautiful blue eyes, Toulouse standout scrum half this season, Paul Grau and Calvin Gorge. That is what a good looking pair of backs that is to bring off the bench. Calvin Gorge and Paul Grau, if nothing else, will stun them with looks.
Fantastic. Beautifully summarized. That whole thing took slightly longer than I'd anticipated, but it was good fun. And that is a good team.
That is, I actually think that is a good team.
That is
I
a
was
good
slightly
team.
worried how it was going to turn out,
There
but
is some,
that is a good team.
there is some grunt, there is some finesse, and there is definitely a bit of madness in there, which is, I feel, the perfect balance.
And that's why we love the top 14. In the depths of winter, when there is so much bleakness around the UK, switch on your TV, you've got Robbie Knock laughing his head off at something mad that has happened in the top 14. We need that chaos.
Yeah. And if you're going to come at us saying that Sam Simmons shouldn't start 8 because Leon finished 11th, you need a better argument than that.